Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Cover to Cover. You're here with Mo
and Andrea
and Morgan.
So today we want to talk about the National Book Awards, when to introduce classics, the Weasley Howler that's up for auction, the It sequel, plus we have a Tiffany's nightstand and a Q&A for you, so stay tuned for that. But first, the BBC is crushing it again with its latest book-to-screen selection.
Tana French, a popular mystery and crime writer, has landed a deal with BBC One to bring her Dublin Murder Squad series to the screen. Filming will begin next year on an 8-part miniseries covering the first 2 books in the series. The show will be called The Dublin Murders. So what do you guys think about Tana French in this miniseries?
So, for me personally, she's not one of the mystery authors that I have followed her career, but she has really recognizable books, right? Like, if you see the covers, you're like, definitely seen that on the shelf before.
Yeah.
And she has, like, a following. One of my best friends is a huge Tana French fan, so she has a whole bookshelf dedicated just to this mystery series.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a big deal, I think.
Awesome. Well, I mean, the book is always better, right? Mm-hmm. But I am, like, more of a social reader. Like, I love, knowing that, like, there's this thing out there that everyone's talking about, and I have to grab it. So when I do see something's going to be a show or a movie, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get like 50 copies of this. And so I'm excited to check out this miniseries.
Yeah.
And I always have to like read the books first and then actually like watch it later.
Well, you've got like 2 years to get it done, so thankfully, you can totally crush it in that time.
But we also know that all of our TBR lists are so long, so
it's going to take 12 years to get there.
Yes, it will.
Pretty much.
12
but yeah,
years
it's
to
exciting.
even, like, write out our TBR list, I think.
Girl. Well, if you're not a Tana French fan, you probably will be now after you check this out. And speaking of becoming fans of new things, there's a long list out there for you to add to your list.
The 2017 long list is out for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature. There are 10 authors on the list, and readers are lining up their TBR lists based on these nominations. The short list will be out on October 4th, so you'll have to stay tuned. Previous winners of the award have been Sherman Alexie, Louis Sachar, and more. The breakout novel this year is The Hate U Give, and it's one of the notable books on the list. So are you guys excited about these nominations?
Yeah, I think the idea of lining up a TBR list based on basically just book lists of like this is the best stuff that came out this year is kind of brilliant, right? So you could just theoretically spend all of this year reading last year's best books, and then this could just line up your next 12 months. So I don't do that, but I think that that's a great idea.
Well, I mean, this book list in particular makes like a huge political statement. I mean, it's all of these things that are super relevant, like police brutality and feminism and all of these different things.
Good point.
So,
yeah.
It's a really cool list to check out on your TBR list if you're wanting to be in the know and wanting to see how a writer like takes a creative approach to these things.
Yeah. Well, this list definitely provides us some great books, and I can't wait to see it on Wednesday.
Right? Yeah,
October
so soon.
4th. So we'll make sure we post that list for you on Wednesday as well and continue to talk about it.
Yes, and I think that we can all agree, speaking of book lists, some of the best books that we've ever read in our lives were assigned literature, right? But a new story out suggests that we might want to be wary of when we introduce great literature to young people.
Vice Principal and writer Aidan Severs has written an article for Test.com making a plea to wait on the introduction of classics to young people, as he believes we often force-feed those books too early and ruin them for students. He claims he wasn't ready for the Bronte sisters at 14, but nevertheless was forced to read them. And now he hates it. So what do you guys think? I mean, should we postpone assigned readings and give some students some room to care about them?
No.
No? Oh.
I disagree. I totally disagree. Why do you think that we should? Because it's just classics and like you should just read it because it's good to do?
I think teenagers don't know what's best for them. And what else are you going to do?
Okay, I'm going to mediate between you two because I see both approaches. I'm a little bit more, I think, on Mo's side, but I got you. Like, I know we have to introduce this world because people don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they could possibly love, and they can fall in love with something. Like, I fell in love with classics, but at the same time,
I hear that. I hear that side, and I understand where you're coming from and, like, where schools are coming from when they, like, make kids do this. But I know people personally who are just like, oh, Shakespeare's total crap, or, like, whatever, because you're forced to read it, and then you're like, that's dumb. I shouldn't have done that when I was 13. I should have waited till I was 18.
What else are you going to read?
So
what's the solution then?
If you want them to read, for example, a book about racism, they don't have to read To Kill a Mockingbird, right? The Hate U Give is like a new book that's out this year, and maybe that's a more relatable story
So
for
it's a
them.
little too structured, is what you're saying.
I just think that, like, what you want them to learn is not based on, like, some book that's a predetermined classic. Like, if you want them to read a period piece, they don't have to read Pride and Prejudice. They don't have to read Jane Eyre. Give them something that's going to speak to them, and maybe they'll find their way to that thing that some society has predetermined is the book that they should read.
I mean, at the end of the day, teachers, school districts have to assign reading. The students, you have to get them reading. You can't say, oh, it's up to you if you read or read what you want.
See, but I don't agree with that.
Both of those points. I get both of your points, but I think that maybe there are different ways that we can include literature. I mean, speak to like what the students are catering to. I mean, there are movies about classics. There are YouTube videos that explain these things in an entertaining way. So, I mean, maybe we don't say, hey, like, here's this book and like throw it at them or throw
and
this
you have
list
like
at
2
them.
weeks to read it and
But maybe we're like, hey, like, let's hype this book up. Like, this is a classic that changed the world in this way, this way, and this way. And there's all this stuff about it. So check it out, and maybe you'll enter a new world.
I feel like great teachers do that already. I remember a great teacher I had in high school, AP English, and we watched some pieces of movies that were related to books because he's trying to make it fun and exciting.
That's smart, too.
This was also a teacher who had a tattoo of James Joyce on his leg.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
He was one of those. But
He was one of those.
but I didn't always love what I read, and I struggled with some of it, but I needed to read, and I needed to learn how to think critically, and so you have to assign reading, you have to teach kids to read, you have to teach them to think, you have to teach them proper English. I mean...
Yeah. I think my idea is just taking a less structured approach to it. So I think my real beef is with the scholastic system, and I prefer a more like Johns Hopkins University approach where it's like you're going to learn and you're going to do it in the way that you want to do, and if it's not for you, you're going to do something different. But
and
school is just very structured.
I guess like have more options than like being like force-fed.
Options are good.
But that doesn't always work in the real world.
But it could.
Cut deep.
It could.
Will not always work with employers. That's all I'm saying.
That's why there's lots of choices out there for jobs and for books to read.
Let us know what you guys think.
Yes, let us know in the comments how you feel, because we have strong feelings about this. And if you are a teacher, you know teachers, what are you doing or what can we do to get young readers more interested in classics and just reading?
I like what you said about
general.
the movie clips and making it like relatable to like other. I think that's probably helpful.
Yeah. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we got more news. Plus, Tiffany has a nightstand for us today, so we'll see you in a minute.
Well, Potter fans, you better get ready to get your credit cards out to buy a piece of Potter history for your personal collection.
In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Ron Weasley receives a terrifying message from his mother, a howler. The howler is a letter that yells at the receiver. The one from the movie is up for auction in London and is expected to receive around £5,000. The winner will receive the letter, the envelope, and a signed picture of Rupert Grint,
who of course played Ron Weasley. We were just talking about memorabilia, and I'm not a huge memorabilia person. Like, I have some stuff that are whatever. But if I had just like £5,000 laying around, like, I might bid on that.
Yeah, I think I would just like bid on it just for the signed copy of like Rupert Grint's face.
It's pretty cute. Do you like memorabilia stuff?
Not anymore.
Yeah, you kind of you've grown out of it. I feel like I'm heading that direction for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, how do they decide? And I mean, there are so many props and things from Harry
Right.
Potter. Like, how is it? Because this is like how many years since the movie?
Oh God,
I mean, and they're just like
a decade.
giving out these like little teasers.
They're just sick of having it in storage.
That's
and paying
probably
some
it.
storage
Yeah.
fee that they're going to auction it off. But there's people like me that's like, I don't want that stuff laying around in my house. I don't want to have
Right.
to move it again next time I move or dust it
Girl,
or
that's
clean it
fair.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I become more of a minimalist the older I've gotten, so.
Yeah. Oh, you know, like at the end of movies, sometimes they'll give people props and presents from the movies. And I saw this really great interview about at the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they gave everybody like a gift special to their character. And they gave Elijah Wood, who played Frodo, the one ring. But then they also gave the one ring to the guy who played Gollum. And so they each individually thought they got the one ring, but there were really 2 rings.
Oh, no.
Drama.
Who's going to tell them?
They know now, girl.
I'm just kidding.
Well, as you know, the Howler can be terrifying to receive. And speaking of terrifying things, Stephen King's It remake did so well in theaters that we'll be getting part 2 in 2019.
As we've mentioned before, there was a lot of hype surrounding this remake, which covered the lives of the Young Losers Club as they battle the epiness It in Derry, Maine. It's all paid off so far, and it looks like we'll see the Losers Club all grown up in part 2 coming September 2019. Now, the question is, who will be cast to play the kids all grown up? And are you guys excited about the future of this remake?
I love it. I'm a huge Stephen King person, and I'm really excited for part 2. Yeah, I'm really glad, because my favorite part of the story is the kids part, but to see them all grown up, if they cast it correctly, could be also really great.
I mean, I've heard so many great things about this one, and I know Stephen King's movies have been, you know, like a little
hit or miss.
Yeah, hit or miss.
Yeah.
So it's so great that this is doing so well, and I am not like a horror person, as like I've told you guys, but this one is one that I'm like really drawn to. So I definitely want to go watch it, and I think I'm gonna like Facebook Live, like I'm gonna have to like watch the movie and like run out real quick and be like, but I'm super excited about this one and part 2.
So one of the characters, the kid, his name is Ben, and he's like the chubby kid of the group, and he's like my favorite character. He's so precious and adorable. But in the book, he grows up to be this like really attractive, really successful person. And so
He long-bottomed.
He long-bottomed.
He long-bottomed.
He did, girl. Started at the bottom, and now look at him. But I think that it would be really great if we could get Chris Pratt cast as that kid all grown up, because I think that was a big part of Chris Pratt's story. And also, I just want to be all in on another Chris Pratt movie. So that's what I'm hoping for. So those are my predictions.
Well, I don't have a lot to say because I haven't read the book, and I won't. I haven't watched the movie yet, and I won't.
It's scary.
I think for this one, I don't know. There's something about like I guess just the hype around. Like I really do want to go see it, and I want to get more familiar with Stephen King's work. So I think this is like one of those one-time things where I'm gonna actually watch the movie first and see if I can handle the book. You know?
It's not that scary unless you're like deeply scared of clowns. Like if you're deeply scared of clowns, but otherwise it's like not too bad. I promise.
I have a crazy imagination, and when I'm taking my dogs out at 5:30 in the morning,
You think you see clowns? You got clown syndrome?
Yeah.
Oh man.
For a while it was coyotes, but now it might be clowns. So, let us know in the comments how you feel about Stephen King's It. But in the meantime, we're going to go over to our resident recommender, Tiffany. Hopefully she has something a little bit better for us. I can
A little less
read.
scary.
Yeah. So Tiffany, what do you have for us for today?
Hey guys, I just got back from the West Texas Book Festival in Abilene, Texas, which is hosted by Glenn Dromgoole. He's a prolific author himself, and he owns the Texas Star Trading Company, which is an awesome independent bookstore in Abilene, Texas. So that's where the festival takes place, and Glenn hosts a variety of authors from all over the world, and I got to hear S.C. Gwynn's talk on Empire of the Summer Moon there. Sam Gwynn is an amazing historian. He's also written books called The Rebel Yell. He's also written The Perfect Pass. And this one is a historic account of the Comanche Indian tribe and how the West was won. So in his talk, he shared with us that the West was won only because the Comanches ultimately lost. And he had a lot of compassion, a lot of intrigue. He's an amazing historian. And he was speaking to a Texas audience. He said that's a lot easier because most everyone in the audience knows the story of Cynthia Ann Parker, who is the 9-year-old little girl known as the White Squaw. She was abducted and taken into the Comanche tribe at a young age. She adopted their way of life and would not go back to her former way. She had a son named Quanah, who became the most feared and revered Comanche warrior of all times. He led a tribe of over 20,000. And one of the stories that Sam told us was about seeing Quanah's star home. His Star House is still located in Oklahoma, and he says if you wanted to go see it, you should have gone yesterday because the current owner is not interested in investing in it nor in selling it. So this amazing piece of Americana culture still stands today. He also told us about the title, The Empire of the Summer Moon, empire meaning the entire Comanche tribe of 20,000 plus, and then Summer Moon, he said, he derived because the Comanches would raid on a big summer full moon. He said a lot of the old timers that he interviewed talked about the summer moon as the Comanche moon, and they would really protect their horses and their livestock. One of the first things the Comanche did when they would raid would be to take the horses because that would completely immobilize the people there. So it was super interesting to listen to him give a talk about this book, which I read a long time ago. And I'm so excited that you're going to get it in the flash sale today for just 99 cents.
Thanks so much, Tiffany. We'll be sure to check out The Emperor of the Summer Moon. And all of you watching, let us know what you think about that book. Is it something you've read or is it on your TBR list?
And in the meantime, we want to follow up on a question that we asked you on Facebook last week. We inquired about your literary crushes, and you came through for us.
We received a lot of expected responses, including Jamie Fraser from Outlander, Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, Jon Snow from The Game of Thrones, and more. So let us know if you're watching, who else are we missing, and what characters have caught your eye.
I feel like our listeners and viewers really nailed it.
They did.
With
I
their
know.
responses. I'm there for
I was like,
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were all of my crushes as well.
Couldn't agree more, and you guys know I'm deep into Outlander right now, so Jamie Fraser is everything, and I hear you for everyone who commented on that, and for everyone who doesn't know anything about Jamie Fraser, Wikipedia. Yes.
Mr. Darcy is, I can't stray from him being my one true crush. If you've seen Austen Land at all, I'm not far from, her level of crush with Mr. Darcy. So he's just my forever and always. But the other ones were great options. So let us know what you guys think. What about you, Morgan?
There's some Nicholas Sparks characters that are missing from this list.
Oh, girl. We need to add them.
Come on, who's your favorite?
Oh, gosh, who's my favorite? I don't know who I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this. It's so hard to choose.
Really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like I can't because I'm married. So.
Yeah, I know. We're putting you on the spot.
I'm also married, but we have an understanding.
Well, let us know in the comments about your literary crushes.
And don't forget about that flash sale. For 19 minutes after our show, you can get your copy of Empire of the Summer Moon for 99 cents.
Yes, and thank you for interacting with our questions on Facebook. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Mo.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Morgan.
And we will be back on Wednesday, October 4th, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. So until then, keep reading, writing, and being awesome. I know we will. Bye.
Bye.